This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
I would like to call an individual. Today we know that you can find anything out in a few seconds in AI. But we see that that's technology. I want to call upon a rabbi, a person that you'll hear him speak. The amount of information, the wealth of knowledge that he's going to be able to give over tonight is comparison to AI. I would like to ask for Rahil Leisenberg, please say.
Thank you very much for that. I don't think in all my introductions I've ever been compared to AI, ever. Because this is a crowd that does not measure time emotionally, they measure it accurately. So, if I go 1 minute over, I probably will hear radios. If I go 2 minutes over, I will probably see cones set up, and someone calling the state prosecutor, so I'm not even going to try. Here we go. I'd like to begin with a story. And I'm still going to go over it. There was, 65 years ago, 2 shoe companies who decided to explore investing in Africa. And they sent 2 executives to go explore the region. They went around to the same cities, and they both came back around the same time. And one executive comes bursting into the CEO's office. He's all sad, he's depressed. He says, CEO, waste of time. Nobody wears shoes there. The other CEO comes running back, bursts into the CEO's office. And the executive, he comes back, he says, you're not going to believe this. Nobody wears shoes there. This is a gold mine. This is ripe for the taking. And lo and behold, they opened 10 stores, then dozens of stores, then hundreds of stores, and today they have netted hundreds of billions of dollars from that decision. 2 people saw the same exact country, came back with totally opposite conclusions. We live in a world very similar to Africa without shoes. A world full of problems. A world of vulnerable people. A world of unprotected people. A world of evil lurking everywhere. And most people look and say, too difficult. I'm not interested. Not enough money for me. And they pack off and they go live a life making money. Chasing comfort. But there are some people who see and say, hey, it's Africa without shoes. There's opportunity here. It's a gold mine. And they recognize that at the end of one's life, God does not care what you accumulated. He cares about one thing and one thing only. Were you part of the problem or were you part of the solution? That is all I care about. Were you part of the problem or were you part of the solution? We are in a room of people who are very much part of the solution. We are living in a world that respects the wrong things. We are living in a world that conditions its children to respect money, to respect titles that are hanging on the edge of someone's mahogany desk. We are conditioning ourselves to respect the landscape of somebody's lawn. We live in a world where the CEO of a company who inherited the job from his father, who from all metrics is a bumbling buffoon, who wouldn't know morality if it slapped him in the face, who cannot zip up his own pants, is given just as much respect and just as much awe than the CEO who's an immigrant from Romania, who slept on beds, who ate rejection for breakfast for 20 years, had to claw his way up to the CEO position. They get the same amount of respect, the same amount of standing ovation. That is the world we live in. But here's where it's important for us. Because that's the world we live in, it means all the more for you. All the more for the people who want to be big when everyone else wants to be small. All the more for the people who want to look into the face of evil and dispense good and not wither way into their bedroom. Of course it's hard. No one's saying it's not hard, it's not sugar-coated, it's not easy standing outside a dinner hall that's honoring a 26-year-old who by accident invented an app at age 18 in his college dorm room in his underwear eating a meatball sandwich and then sold it to Google for $75 million. He's getting honored, and I'm out in the cold making sure that a woman doesn't get hit by a truck. It's not easy. No one's saying it's easy. It's not easy to wake up at 3 in the morning to go make sure that someone doesn't get killed or that some kid gets home safely, and then I go back to sleep, I wake up with a pounding headache and turn on the radio and they're interviewing someone who won the lottery and has installed a $6 million fish tank in his bathtub. It's not easy. Of course it's not easy. But greatness follows people who roll up their sleeves and choose good. Precisely because so few people chase good means the dividends for you are greater. Here's another story. In Wales, in England, there was a heavy snowstorm, and there was a woman who was walking with her baby and was caught in this sudden snowstorm. And she was going to a destination, and she never got there. And the next day, people are starting to figure out, okay, where's this woman? People say, you know what, I don't know, probably found a hotel, a motel, somewhere to stay. Not sure. Who cares? But there was one man who said, no, that's not how I'm operating. I'm finding this woman. We're talking 10 feet of snow. We're talking visibility of 5 feet. We're talking frigid temperatures. And he goes down and he's looking for hours. He goes the entire length of the road that she probably was walking until he finds a mound that shouldn't be there. And he starts digging, and he's digging more, and he sees a dead, clothless woman. She knew she was dying. She took off her clothes. She wrapped her infant in it. He opens up the pile of clothes. He's alive. That baby is alive. That baby turned out to be David Lloyd George, who went on to become the Prime Minister of England, led the entire World War I, essentially, became one of the most consequential figures in politics in the last 200 years, who also led the way to the Balfour Declaration, paving the way for the entire state of Israel, which can be traced back to one no-name man who the world will never know about, who went out in the night, in the freezing cold, when everyone else said no, and he said yes. That is who you are. Chasing a life where no one will thank you, little money, but dispensing good into a world desperate for it. Which brings me to Lakewood, specifically. We have become slightly desensitized in Lakewood. We think it's normal. We think it's normal. Help is, you have trouble, help is in the way immediately. We think it's normal. You're lost, someone's going to come out and find you. We think it's normal. You know, someone collapses, an ambulance isn't there in 90 seconds. We think that's normal. But it's not normal. I was somewhere recently, I won't say where because I don't know who's connected to which state prosecutor here. And I walk out to my car, I see all 4 doors of my car open. I go inside my car, every single valuable thing I own is stolen, gone. I was in the middle of moving from place to place, and everything was in my car. Laptops, money, clothes, shekels, smart, tefillin, gone. I'm standing there. I start calling everyone I know. Nothing. Zero. Help, 0, jump in a lake. So then I see that this community has a community watch. Okay, this is very far away. A community watch, great, I call it the community watch. I say, my car, that thing was stolen, help me. No, sorry, we don't do that. I'm like, you're a community watch. You don't do, so what do you do? We mostly help with missing cats. I'm like, what? We mostly help with missing cats. Give me a break. And then I realized, that's what normal looks like. That is what it looks like when people in your city aren't big enough to step up and fill in. I was in Hanoi, Vietnam a few weeks ago. I don't know if you've ever been to Hanoi. It is insane, it's chaotic, it's crazy, it makes Manhattan look like the Catskills. And I'm walking there, it is hotter than hot. I'm not sure if it was 175 degrees or 176 degrees, I'm not sure. I wasn't sure if I was walking on a street or if I was swimming in a crock pot. It was that hot. There's air conditioning companies who are filming their advertisements there. I'm walking along with my wife and 2 kids, and I see there is a woman on the floor having a seizure or stroke. Now, guess how many people did anything? 0. Now, this wasn't like a little quiet street. This was Hanoi, Vietnam. This is the most jam-packed place probably you'll walk. I wasn't sure if I was on a street corner or if I was in a can of tuna. Nobody. So my wife and I run over to this woman who's on the floor, literally passing out, dying. And my wife, who's a nurse, says, she needs juice immediately. Get her juice, quick, 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 quick. So I look around, I see that there's a guy who has a crate of oranges, who's sitting on the side of the road, and he's squeezing the oranges to make oranges. So I run over to him, I say, guy, sir, Mr. Dude, she's dying, she's literally dying. Can you give us a couple of oranges? No. No, she's dying. No, you pay me. I'm like, pay you, you charge 7 Vietnamese dong. That's the equivalent of like 4 cents. What are you, like Starbucks charging $19 for a lavender-infused rosemary oat milk frap? You're schnook squeezing oranges. She's dying. No money, no juice. No money, no juice. I go collect money like a beggar. The American tourist is collecting money for the Vietnamese. Go figure how that looked. I get juice for this. We save her life. I've earned my food now that I can. Would anyone in this room act like that? Would anyone in this room even think like that? Would anyone in this city even think like that? No. Because we're not normal. Because we've developed a culture where there's a problem, you step up and you fix it. I want to conclude with a story. One final story. A few months ago, I went to check out a school that I was considering sending my son to. It's called Orchis Chaim here in Lakewood. And the first time I'm ever there, I walk into the parking lot, and all of a sudden I'm walking to the administration wing. I see 15 cops come running through the parking lot. There's 12 Shomrim members just running through the parking lot. Okay, that's one way to introduce your school to me. Very nice. What happened was there was a hit and run on the corner street over there, and the guy ran through this parking lot, and they thought maybe he was armed, and they're coming to check out the situation. Now, this was in the middle of recess. There's 6 or 7 million kids who are playing outside. And for a moment, the Shomrim members, the police officers, huddled together to sort of like regroup. And 3 million 8-year-olds come running to gang up on these police officers and Shomrim members and start belting out with confidence. They know exactly where the guy went. He went left. He went right. He's on top of the bus. He's under the bus. He's wearing a blue shirt. I'm telling you, he's wearing a black shirt. He's bald. He has a ponytail. He's wearing an afro. And the kid's like, what's an afro? With complete and utter confidence. And the Shomrim members and the police officers just look at the kids, give a little smile, and they turn on their radio to listen to their chief, and they run off to the direction. Life is sort of a microcosm of that parking lot, where there's a million people pointing in a million different directions, who are essentially children dressed up like adults, who are saying, go this, go that, obsess over this, cancel this guy, follow that guy, do this, donate all your mental space to this, that, and the other. Lucky are the people who can tune them all out. Lucky are the people who can say, I want to do good. I want to be a solution in a world filled with problems. So instead of just me being here to wish Lakewood's thanks to you all, I want to personally tip my cap. Because when I was 4 years old, my father was climbing up a flight of stairs and he collapsed. He had a category 4 cardiac arrest, which basically gives you a 4% chance of survival. Not 24, not 14% chance, 4% chance. And it is only because of people like you who step up, who run towards chaos, who run towards the problems. The only reason I am not an orphan is because people like you see a problem and choose to fix it. I leave you with the following quote. There's a quote that was very popular amongst soldiers in World War II. It's become very popular amongst Navy SEALs right before they head out into their missions, before they drop from those helicopters. The quote is the following. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. You hear that? The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. Evil in this world does not survive, does not win because it is strong. It is because people get too comfortable and get too weak, get too complacent and chase the wrong things. Triumph will be received by good when good people dispense it. So we tip our cap, and I represent all of Lakewood and the surrounding towns, to thank the people who are never thanked, to thank the people who never get awards, to thank the people who prevent crimes whose victims will never know about. I tip my cap to the people who are living in a world filled with problems, very much stand tall and become the solution. Thank you very much for listening.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.